At the end of August, Ukrainian forces launched a slow-motion offensive to push the Russian invaders out of Kherson, one of the biggest cities they have occupied since the start of the war more than 6 months ago. The Institute for the Study of War reports that the Ukrainian counteroffensive is making verifiable progress, although it remains far from clear when, or even if, the Ukrainians can liberate Kherson. But, while the fate of Kherson remains to be determined, the larger trend is not in dispute. Ukraine is winning its war of independence. The major issue now is how much of its territory it can claw back. The existence of a democratic, pro-Western Ukrainian state is no longer in doubt. Russian dictator Vladimir Putin's war plans have failed miserably. My Post colleagues reported in their deeply researched Road to War series that Putin had planned to seize Kyiv in 3 to 4 days, remove President Volodymyr Zelensky and install a Kremlin-friendly puppet government. Other Russian forces were supposed to drive from the east and south, leaving a rump Ukrainian state in the west. When those initial plans were stymied by the heroic defense of Kyiv, Putin switched in mid-April to focus on the Donbas region in the east. By early July, Putin's forces had forced the retreat of Ukrainian defenders from Luhansk, one of the 2 provinces in Donbas. But Russian troops did not trap Ukrainian forces, as they had hoped, and they have not made any appreciable progress in Donetsk, the other province in the Donbas region. Instead, they have been thrown on the defensive in Kherson and the rest of the south. Moscow has now been compelled to postpone plans for a farcical referendum, scheduled for mid-September, on annexing Kherson to Russia. Ukrainian forces have the initiative, and they are displaying impressive resilience despite substantial casualties. Putin hoped to tear Ukraine apart. Instead, he has united it. In a recent poll, 91% of Ukrainians expressed approval of Zelensky and 98% expressed confidence in victory. Putin has managed to retain Russian support for his special military operation only by brutally repressing dissent and hiding its real cost. CIA Director William Burns said on July 20 that Russian casualties were estimated at 15,000 troops killed and 45,000 wounded. Independent analysts estimate that Russia has lost more than 5,400 military vehicles, including more than 1,000 tanks, along with 52 aircraft and 11 ships. Such massive losses of troops and equipment will be hard to replace, all the more so because Putin refuses to risk a total mobilization of Russian society that could undermine support for his illegitimate rule. Russia is compelled to buy artillery shells from North Korea and drones from Iran. Putin had hoped to bring Ukraine and its Western allies to their knees by waging economic warfare, but so far his machinations have been stymied. On July 22, under pressure from Turkey and other countries whose support he is seeking, Putin agreed to relax his Black Sea blockade and allow Ukrainian grain shipments under United Nations auspices. The Ukrainian Infrastructure Ministry reports that so far 86 ships have sailed from Ukrainian ports carrying 2 million tons of agricultural products to 19 countries. Those shipments are blunting Putin's attempts to weaponize food shortages, relaxing inflationary pressures and allowing Ukraine to generate badly needed revenue. Putin has been trying to use the threat of Russian energy cutoffs to persuade Europe to stop supporting Ukraine. A Kremlin spokesman just announced that Russia was shutting the Nord Stream 1 natural gas pipeline to Europe until Western sanctions are lifted. But the Europeans haven't wavered. Rather, they have accelerated their efforts to end dependence on Russian energy. European gas storage facilities are nearly 80% filled already, well ahead of a November deadline, and the European Union is ramping up imports of liquefied natural gas, putting off plans to close nuclear plants, and reducing energy use. Western sanctions haven't led to an economic implosion in Russia or forced Putin to discontinue his invasion, but they are taking a toll that will only grow. Russia will be hard put to run its production lines, military and civilian, without Western semiconductors, and it has seen a 90% drop in chip imports. According to Bloomberg, an internal Russian government document warns of a much longer and deeper recession than officials admit in their upbeat public pronouncements, with the economy not returning to its pre-war level until the end of the decade or later. There is no room for complacency. Ukraine can prevail only if it continues to receive substantial Western aid, and it needs even more assistance: fighter aircraft, long-range rockets and tanks.